Good evening, everyone. I have pleasure in opening the ordinary council meeting of the 28th of April at 2026 at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I wish to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The video will appear on the council's website and YouTube channel. The public gallery will not be recorded unless accidentally, and only a participant in the meeting, namely a person asking questions at public question time, will be live streamed and recorded. If you wish to ask a question at public question time, your voice and image will be recorded and live streamed. If you do not consent to your voice and image being recorded and live streamed to the public, then you will need to leave the meeting. By staying at this meeting, you consent to your voice and image being live streamed and recorded. No other electronic, visual or audio recording device or instrument can be used to record the proceedings of the meeting without prior written permission from the council, as per the City of Belmont Standing Orders, local law. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I further acknowledge their cultural heritage, beliefs, connection and relationship with this land which continues today. Councillor Marks, would you please read aloud the affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on behalf of the elected members, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I make this affirmation in good faith and declare that I will duly, faithfully, honestly and with integrity fulfil the duties of my office for all the people in the City of Belmont, according to the best of my judgment and ability. I will observe the City's Code of Conduct and Standing Orders to ensure efficient, effective and orderly decision-making within this forum. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Marks. Apologies, leave of absence. We have no leave of absence, but we have an apology from Mr Downing, Director of Corporate and Governance. Declarations of interest. Are there any financial interests to the Coordinator of Governance?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No declarations of financial interest have been received.
Are there any disclosure of interest affecting impartiality?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No disclosures of interest affecting impartiality have been received.
Thank you. There are no announcements this evening. The disclaimer, it is 6:32 p.m. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at the meeting tonight can be revoked pursuant to the Local Government Act of 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the City has been received. Are there any declarations being made by councillors? 4.3. There are none. Public question time. Responses to questions taken on notice. Response to questions taken on notice from the ordinary council meeting of the 24th of March 2026 are noted in the agenda for Ms Hollands on behalf of Belmont Resident Ratepayers Group, Ms Hollands for herself, Ms Padua, Mr Cardoso. It is 6:33 p.m. and open public question time and draw attention of the public gallery to the rules of public question time as written in question time form. I remind members of the public of the Standing Orders local law requirements for members of the public to extend due courtesy and respect to both councillors and employees. Please do not use inappropriate, objectionable or untruthful expressions or expressions that reflect adversely on the character or actions of councillors or employees. If any expression is deemed inappropriate, you'll be directed to withdraw the expression and apologise. If you do not comply, you'll have to end your question. Lastly, I remind and caution everyone present at this meeting to refrain from making offensive or defamatory statements, especially as the proceedings are live streamed. As such, some viewers of the live stream may find the content of the meeting be offensive or distressing. Under the City's Standing Orders, Local Law 2017, members of the public can ask up to 2 questions. You have a maximum of 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. As presiding member tonight, I allow up to 4 questions per person. Please note that sub-questions, being questions within questions, will be counted towards the total number of questions permitted. The number and time limit is to allow fair and equal opportunity for everyone. to ask their questions before the proceedings continue. I have two members of the public who have been given prior notice to ask questions, there being Lisa Hollands on behalf of Bragg, Martin Cardoso on behalf of Belmont Eastward Connect. Is there anybody else? Janet G. Lisa Hollands, please come to the microphone. Thank you. State your suburb.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Firstly, I do not give consent to be on camera and any perceived consents under duress. Firstly, break questions. Once again, I come to Council asking repeat questions, as last month they were not answered. Last month, I asked 3 of my 4 Bragg questions in respect of a code of conduct matter that was on the agenda at the February meeting, so I'll have to try again. I read out the Local Government Administration Regulations 11B, which reads, where a member enters or leaves the meeting during the course of the meeting, the time of entry and departure as the case requires in the chronological sequence of the business of the meeting, and 11D, details of each decision made in the meeting. I stated that there were only 7 councillors at the February meeting and that only the IT staff member, if the minutes are correct, left the meeting prior to the confidential items. I asked 1, if the councillor who was the subject of the complaint was in attendance when the matter was discussed. 2, was there any indication as to whether why was there no indication as to whether the complaint was dismissed or substantiated? And 3, what section of the Act or regulations allowed for confidential items to be exempt from showing details of the decision as per 11D? The response was that all decisions of councils are recorded as per section 5.22 of the Local Government Act, which provides that the CEO must cause minutes to be kept of the proceedings of the council meeting regulations. Then 11D was quoted, as I've read out, and then cited by the city, where council resolves to adopt an officer recommendation or an alternative councillor motion, this constitutes a decision for the purposes of 11D. Accordingly, the content of council meetings is consistent with legislation. You did not answer whether or not the councillor left the room. You made no mention as to whether the complaint was dismissed or substantiated, and your response to confidential items being exempt from showing details was not answered, as 11D makes no reference to confidential items being excluded. So my questions. If the minutes are correct, there were 7 councillors sitting in the room when the Code of Conduct matter was discussed, and only 6 voted on the motion. 7 voted for the other confidential items. The only conclusion here is that the councillor who was the subject of the complaint was in the room when it was discussed. How can the complainant, or for that matter, any other complainant in the future, think their matter would be heard fairly if the councillor subject of the complaint is allowed to be present when such a matter is discussed?
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. I think the response that has been provided to Ms Hollands is more than adequate, and as I mentioned at the last meeting, the matter was discussed behind closed doors and is confidential. Thank you, Worship.
And you have not answered the 3 questions that I raised. So
Next
my
question,
second
please.
on that one, how does the CEO think he has complied with the regulations which require details of each decision by stating an alternative council motion constitutes a decision when it does not state whether the complaint was substantiated, dismissed, nor does it state any more than the vote was an alternative motion? Where is the detail in accordance with 11D, or should we be addressing this to the inspector or the minister so they can explain this to me?
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. We'll take that question on notice given the reference to the inspector. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Mr Christie will have has been the CEO for the City of Belmont for 10 years, around September, October next year. How much notice will be needed to be given by the CEO as to whether he would like a renewal, or will it be a case of last-minute renewal notice so it can continue potentially for months while the recruiting process occurs? Or is there a clause in the current contract that will allow further time whilst recruitment takes place?
Please be advised that as this question relates to the employment contract of the CEO, a confidential matter, it will not be addressed in an open forum in accordance with section 5.23 2B of the Act and Rule E of the Rules for Council Meeting Public Question Time. Your next
Mr.
question.
Mayor, you have quoted in your response the rules that relate to, from the regulations last meeting about the CEO's contract. That's been quoted. So I'm asking, as a result of what you, the city, put in the minutes. Thank you. That's why I've asked it.
I've made my ruling. Next question, please.
So you're not going to answer something that was in the minutes from last meeting. Is that correct?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I believe that's a breach of 6.21E as it's an argument.
So what?
Hold that. Your next question, please.
Last month, I asked the number of properties with the rate exemptions and what was the cost of this. The response was, as of February 2026, the city has granted rating exemptions on 163 properties, totalling for 25-26 $938,818. The exemption covers charities, religious institutions and state and Commonwealth government agencies. So my question, as the 2021 census indicates, there are approximately 20,000 private dwellings in Belmont, and our state housing numbers, I think, are around 10%. The number of properties you provided was only 163, and your response said that that did cover both state and Commonwealth housing. So could you please provide the numbers of both state housing and Commonwealth housing in Belmont, and if they are rate exempt, and if this is the case, how much does this cost the ratepayer?
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. I believe the response is 100% accurate. Not all state-owned housing falls under the rate exemption criteria. It's when the state government have housing providers that manage collective tenancies. But I believe the response that has been given to the previous question is 100% accurate, Your Worship.
Could you just clarify that? You said about the state housing providers when they give houses to other people. Are they the ones that get the rate exemption, or?
Thank you, Worship. Anyone who is a community housing provider previously can apply for rate exemptions. Yes, thank you, Worship.
And ones owned by the state, though, under the Housing Commission or whatever it's called now, do they pay rates?
So this is your, I think, possibly your sixth question.
Well, Mr. Mayor, it's not clear. That's why I'm asking. I don't want to come back.
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. I believe it's very clear. The figures that were provided in response to the question are accurate, and that is the number of properties with rate exemptions and the total value of those rate exemptions. Thank you, Worship.
Okay, my personal question.
Thank you.
Next month, we're supposed to have the live streaming policy back on the agenda. At the start of my questions each month, I make a statement that any consent you're asking with residents to be on camera is done under duress. I've previously asked what section of the Act or regulation state that residents have to be on camera during public question time, and the response has not answered the question. It has simply been because it's required to be live streamed. Interestingly, when I ask for specific sections of the Act or regulations on other questions, when such a section actually exists, I'm given the answer. An example was the response I received last meeting regarding the renewal of the CEO contract. The only conclusion I can come to when I ask about legislation you're relying on and it's not provided, it's because it doesn't exist. I've got no other conclusion. A few years back, the city, in its wisdom, put out a report saying they did not want to live stream because the dangers it posed to safety, and to highlight this, she compared the safety issue to the death threats received by Mark McGowan at the time and the death of a UK politician. Subsequently, 6PR interviewed the then Minister, John Carey, and I have an audio which I'm happy to send councillors in respect of this, wherein he stated that for privacy of residents, some councils do not put faces of residents on the screen. Apparently, he wasn't demanding residents were on camera, but he was pretty filthy on Belmont for the rest of the matter. I've checked and I can't find any legislation or regulation that requires residents be on camera during public question time. Debates are required to be on camera, and that is not us, as we're not allowed to debate. As councillors, you're also told the city is correct, the same as I am, and the meeting has to be live streamed without providing the legislation that I keep asking for. So I believe councillors are then not getting the correct facts, and this is being done knowingly by the city, and we haven't got residents now that sometimes come and ask questions. Less people are coming. So for the last time, could you please provide this legislation or regulation that requires public question time to have audio and video as the only assertion I can make is it does not exist and our councillors are not being given the correct information.
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. I'll take that question on notice.
Thank you. In the last 2 years of Councillor Marks being Mayor and the last 2 years of Councillor Rosser becoming the Mayor, only 5 councillor motions have been raised in both periods. One was from Mayor Rossi in May 2024 regarding the urban forest. Bragg put in a request last year for council to consider getting the seniors bus contract redrafted so that it was fair for them. And we provided the clauses that we felt were unfair. We heard councillors indicating that they did not really want to be removed from the advisory groups, but they just accepted what they were told, which was, in essence, it was because the Act changed and these groups are now administrative. So my question, as the Mayor who gets a lot of the senior vote and has demonstrated in May 2024 that as the Mayor you're quite willing to put councillor motions forward, do you, Mayor Rossi, or any other councillor have any intentions of moving a councillor motion to get the seniors bus contract redone so it's fairer to them?
It has been done and dusted.
So the
Next
answer's
question,
no?
please.
Thank
Next
you.
question.
Given that over both 2-year periods, only 5 councillor motions were moved in each period, why are so few motions being moved by councillors, especially one that could benefit residents?
I can't answer and can't speak on behalf of councillors.
Well, yourself, you've only put up one.
As Mayor, I normally have to step back. I'm the leader here of running the meeting. I normally leave to councillors, but I have, since becoming Mayor, I've put forward at least 2 that I don't know of. So I've done my bit, but I mean, each person is allowed to do what they wish to do. I can't speak for them. Thank you.
Okay, over a period of 3 meetings last year, I was trying to get hold of past minutes back to 2000 to do my own research, and after asking when I could get them, I was told they were archived and it would take too many resources for me to get them. Then I find out via another resident who already had received them that they were digitised since 1998. After sending a letter to the CEO with proof that this had occurred and that they were archived, I got a response that they would be put up on the website for all residents. They've been put there, but they're all over the place and difficult to locate, and the search does not always work. 3 months ago, the director told me they would be put up by year as per the other ones. We're still waiting, so when will this be done? Or are we just going to have them so that residents can't find things easily?
I don't believe that's correct, but I'll go to the CEO.
Well, it is correct.
Excuse me. Thank you. Over to the CEO.
Thank you, Worship. I'll take that question on notice and I'll discuss this with the governance team later this week. Thank you.
Move on to Mark Pedrosa.
Martin Cardozo-Redcliffe. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, city officers and members of the public gallery. Before I start my questions, can I just seek some clarification? The YouTube channel normally has closed captions for the hearing impaired. Last meeting, it was switched off. It's normally on. Last meeting was switched off, and I asked for it to be reinstated, and it was the next day. Can I ask, is that a toggle switch that somebody does? Because it doesn't appear on now. I thought it was a requirement that the closed captions were available for hearing impaired.
CEO?
I'll perhaps need to take that question on notice and discuss this with my IT team, but one would assume that that would be standard. Thank you.
It's not on now. Can it be switched on now?
Again, if you just give me a second, I can find out from our IT assistant this year.
When I sent an email the following day from the last OCM, it was switched back on.
And what I've been informed is that we don't normally do that. It's apparently YouTube that toggles those things, but I will take it on notice and follow that.
That is not the case.
I'll follow that up and I'll take that on notice.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. The hearing impaired would appreciate that.
Thank you.
My questions relate to the review of the live streaming policy and the information provided to elected members. Question 1. Does the proposed live streaming policy allow recordings to be edited, muted or excluded without council oversight or without reasons being included in the public record?
Mr Sear?
Thank you, Worship. As you know, Mr Cardozo, the policies are currently under review, and more detail of that will become available when the council agenda item is presented to council, which I believe will be in May this year. Thank you, Worship.
Next question. Thank you, Mark.
Question 2. Was any specific rationale provided to elected members for including the live stream policy within a bundled review rather than presenting it as a standalone item?
Mr Sear?
Thank you, Worship. In previous years, the policies have been presented in their entirety as one policy manual. This is the first year where we've separated the policies into 2 tranches. So there has been a decision made that fewer policies coming forward allows more time for councillors to review these. At this moment in time, there has not been any motion or any proposed change to what is currently proposed for the May meeting. Thank you, Worship.
Next question.
Question 3. Has any benchmarking been provided to elected members comparing the city's live streaming approach to other local governments, particularly in relation to agenda briefing forums and annual electors meetings?
Mr Sear?
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I believe my governance team over the last few years have been reviewing what other local governments do and provided some context to elected members when presenting that policy. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
Question 4. Has the city ever considered extending live streaming or public access to agenda briefing forums and annual elector meetings, and what decision was made?
I believe this has been already responded to. We're getting to the point where I'm going to have to start invoking section 6.210A, where you keep on asking similar questions. So we have to, I'm just telling you, we're heading that way. So over to the CEO.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Look, I do believe that there are duplicates or variations of previous questions asked, and Rule E of the Rules of Public Question Time clearly detail how that should be dealt with. But to answer the question, yes, they have. They considered that when the policy was presented some years ago, when they adopted it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Your Eastward Connect question?
Sure. These questions relate to the city's current practices and technical capability in providing access to meetings. Is the city aware of any Tier 1 local government that opens agenda briefing forums to the public, permits submissions and deputations and deliberation, but does not provide live streaming or any audio recording as part of the public record?
I believe this list has already been provided, but I could be wrong. Mr CEO?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Yes, I believe the answer to that is yes, but I'll take it on notice just to provide more detail. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Is the city aware of any Tier 1 local government that provides no summary of verbal submissions or verbal deputations as part of its public record?
Again, I believe this has already been answered, responded to, but I'll go to the CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Look, again, to provide clarity, I'll take it on notice.
Thank you. Based on the city's existing recording capability and meeting infrastructure, is the city aware of any specific technical limitation that would prevent agenda briefing forums or annual electors meetings from being live streamed?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. I guess there is no technical preventing us from doing that, but the policy is quite clear. The policy is for the live streaming of the ordinary council meeting only, and council hasn't resolved otherwise. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
Last question. At the 24 February ordinary council meeting, the city confirmed that verbal submissions and deputations at agenda briefing forums are not summarised in any form in the public record, and that this practice will continue in the absence of a written submission provided in advance. Why does the city invite verbal participation in a process where that participation is not captured in any form in the public record.
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. I'll perhaps draw Mr Cardoza's attention to the rules relating to public submissions and deputations, which states that you should write briefly what your deputational summary is when submitting the form. And that is exactly the same for public question time. You're asked to write these out and provide these in writing. I note that nearly every time someone does a deputation or a submission here at an agenda briefing forum or asks questions at public question time, those questions and those submissions are often written out because you read them out here in this forum. It would be nice if these were handed in, because then they would form a part of the minutes of the meeting. But as I said, what we do and how we manage the minutes is consistent with the Local Government Act. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We move to Ms G.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors. I've just got two quick questions. One of them, not many of you, well, some of you might know, I work in corrective services, and domestic violence is definitely on the uprise throughout the community. So when you are looking at the live streaming and who you are putting on camera, can you please all consider making it a lot easier for people that might be in that situation but would like to come and ask questions to be able to not be on camera? You could have the voice and no name, but not the face on camera. Domestic violence is really vast throughout the community, so it would be nice if we make it more, make it more that everybody can come here and ask a question and not have to worry about being on camera and having people looking at them. So,
Thank you. We've heard you. Thank you.
next question is the temperature in this chamber consistent throughout the chamber?
Mr CEO?
I would imagine that's difficult for me to comment, given where I sit, but I would imagine it should be, because the temperature is set by our management system that governs the temperature here in this entire civic centre. Thank you, Worship.
Well, I'd like you to take some temperature testing at some point, because sitting in the gallery, it's freezing, and I could do with a rug on. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no more questions, I close public question time at 6:58 p.m. We move to 6.1, matrix for the agenda briefing forum held the 21st of April 2026. Any questions on the matrix? Have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Kuljitsky. Please use, the voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. We'll have to do by hand voting. The system is not cooperating today. So all those in favour, raise your hand. Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody. We move to 6.2, Ordinary Council meeting held the 24th of March 2026. Are there any questions on the meeting? I have a mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Sekula, seconded by Councillor Kuljitsky. We are going to be voting by hand again. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. All those against, just in case? No. Carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody. A recent audit, special council meeting held the 20th of October 2025. A recent audit of all minutes of council and associated documentation was undertaken by the governance team. As a consequence of this audit, it was found that the minutes of the special council meeting held in the October 2025 had not been tabled for confirmation by council. The minutes have therefore been included in the April 2026 meeting cycle. There is no legislative impact from the delay in approving the special council meeting of October 2025. Are there any questions on the minutes? May I have a move and a second to confirm the minutes? Moved by Councillor Zakula, seconded by Councillor Sessions. We'll have to vote by a raise of hands. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Questions by members which due notice has been given? There are none. Questions by members without notice. Response to questions taken on notice? There are none. Questions by members without notice. Are there any questions by members? Are there any new business of an urgent nature? Business adjourned from the previous meeting? There are none. Reports of committees? There are none. Reports of administration. Withdrawn items. Any items to be withdrawn? We'll go through each one. 12.1, the WALGA Climate Change Advocacy Position. Councillor Harris. 12.2, proposed differential rates. No. Accounts for payments for March, 12.3. 12.4, monthly financial report for March 2026. There are none. May I have a move and a second to adopt the balance of the reports en bloc with the exception of item 12.1. Moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Sessions. We'll still continue with hand voting. All those in favour, raise your hand. Those against, carry unanimously. For those people present in the gallery, please note that those items that have been have not been withdrawn have now been adopted by council. You are welcome to stay and observe the remainder of tonight's proceedings, or you may wish to leave when convenient. As outlined previously, please do not rely on any council decision until formal notification has been received in writing. Thank you. We move to 12.1. The mover is Councillor Harris. I need a seconder. Councillor Sessions. Over to you, Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. So in this item, we're asking for more assistance from the state government on climate action. The feedback the environment team have proposed that we give to WALGA on their advocacy statement is excellent, making clear the extent of assistance required to help local governments meet climate goals is necessary, and I commend the team on that work. For this advocacy to be effective, both in terms of us to WALGA and for WALGA to the state government, I think our input needs to also demonstrate that we've taken on the shared responsibility on getting climate action done. We've taken strong action, encouraging sustainable choices in development applications in concert with state government priorities. But I'm concerned that when it comes to projects that require more spending on our part, that we might not be doing enough. In this item, we ask for assistance in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but we don't have a committed emissions reduction target yet. Without that, I don't know if we will genuinely impact WALGA and state government choices. And while asking for assistance on EV transition, we've not trialled electric fleet vehicles or installed public chargers. Our handful of EV chargers in the basement of the hub have largely sat idle for 6 years, while each fleet vehicle is instead filled with ever costlier fuels. Without this, our advocacy may ring hollow. The discussion is timely. We're being reminded daily that our supply of fossil fuels is high cost and highly volatile, dependent as it is on the whims of foreign leaders. Reducing fossil fuel use would, yes, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but would also be saving us money. and that means spending ratepayer money more responsibly and efficiently. I'm glad that we're proposing WALGA advocate strongly on our behalf, and I have no changes to propose to the excellent wording before us. I am hoping that we approve this, and then when it comes to our actions, that our words follow through to projects that reflect this urgency. Thank you, Mayor Rossi.
Thank you. The seconder wish to speak?
No, thanks, Mayor Rossi.
Anybody else wishes to speak? For or against? No? Oh, Councillor Sakula, sorry. I don't know why I said that. My apologies.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. The advocacy position that's been put together and is put forward in the officer recommendation is excellent, as stated by Councillor Harris. It does certainly reflect the position of Council through our adopted strategy, being the ESS. I do want to argue perhaps a point that Councillor Harris noted in terms of charging infrastructure. That is, I think, something that should be left to the market to deal with rather than being a direct investment by Council. A lot of charging of EVs can be done privately from a standard plug quite effectively, and two overnight charges a week will get a family by in terms of the distance they need to travel on a weekly basis. Though I did hear Councillor Harris's comments regarding the city's fleet and the lack of, or a bit of an imbalance in the distribution of EVs that consist in our fleet. That's certainly a no-brainer sort of investment that I think we should be looking at, particularly given the change in market conditions relating to the cost of fuel. So this is a good advocacy position that's being put forward by the city so that we can get the best outcome possible from other levels of government who are directly responsible for leadership in this, with, of course, our shared responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll also speak on it. The Council's response, along with the Director's update to questions asked last week, really highlights just how much the City is already doing and working towards. Is there room for improvement? Of course there is. But it's just as important to recognise how far we've come. Acknowledge what's being achieved right now and keep building on that progress. Advocacy is the key. We need to keep on working with the state government and relevant agencies to help deliver on these goals. Regarding EVs, there's also a fairness question here. Electricity, installation and maintenance all come at a cost. So offering free charging, for example, means all ratepayers are effectively subsidising a small group of EV owners. We wouldn't do the same for petrol users, and that's worth noting. I've also seen examples where free charging can be misused, with the same vehicles occupying bays for long periods when charging stations first arrived in WA, although now it's more pay user, which is good. That said, there is a positive path forward. Through planning, we can encourage more EV charging, for example, infrastructure, using incentives and requirements in new developments. This is an area where the WA Planning Department and Commission could play a stronger role, not just the City doing all the lifting. So I commend this advocacy position, and I'm quite proud of what we're putting forward. Over to the mover, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I agree there is a positive path forward, and I think discussions like this are part of it, along with advocacy and noting that both advocacy and action are the keys to getting things done. I thank you both Mayor and Councillor Kulczycki. I would note that I'd be thinking charges would not necessarily need to be free, just paid ones that might be using public parking infrastructure, and the additions there might be worth a discussion, but obviously not worth committing to and not part of this item. But But yeah, I agree that this is a really good advocacy position. I think we hopefully will get some additional assistance out of it, and we can get ahead with reducing our emissions down to net zero in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The system's back on for the last item of the night, so please use the buttons on your screen to vote, please. Councillor Ryan, oh, we've got it all. No, how? No, it's all nine. All nine have voted. Fantastic. Carried unanimously. Thank you. We move to reports for leave of absence. Are there any requests of leave of absence, Mr CEO? None. Thank you. Notice of motion, there are none. Matters of which the meeting may be closed, there are none. Closure. There being no further business to conduct, I thank all those in attendance and close the meeting at 7:11 p.m. A reminder to all elected members to return all confidential documents, if there were any this month, to the box in the foyer of the council.